Member from Burnaby Lohit.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am privileged to rise for the first time in this House today to represent the people of Burnaby Lohit. My constituency was previously served by the former member, Mr. Harry Bloy, and I would like to acknowledge his contributions. I'd also like to recognize Ms. Christine Clark, Mr. Ken Kramer, and my very good friend, Mr. Darwin Burns, as well as all British Columbians across the province who have stepped up to join the democratic process as exceptional candidates for this past general election in May. Mr. Speaker, Burnaby Lohit is a wonderful community located on the northeast corner of Burnaby. Burnaby is the third largest city in British Columbia by population and named the best run city in Canada by Maclean's thanks to our dedicated public servants from all levels of government and caring residents from all walks of life. I'm so proud to be a part of a community that demonstrates fiscal responsibility and social conscience are not either or endeavors, but can be achieved together. We have the stunning Burrard Inlet as our northern border, the quaint Burnaby Mountain centered in the riding, and a beautiful Burnaby Lake to the south where I would love to visit and make few casts for trouts. With Lohit Highway and Trans-Canada Highway and the Millennium SkyTrain running right through the constituency, we also serve as an important transportation corridor connecting Vancouver to the rest of the Fraser Valley and into the interior. Our progressive team of Parks Commissioners and City Councilors, under the proven leadership of His Worship Mayor Derek Corrigan, has our urban city keeping much of the historic waterways open and preserving one of the highest ratio of parkland to residents. Like many other British Columbians, my constituents have profound love and respect for nature. The existing Kinder Morgan pipeline courses right through the residential neighborhoods, close to elementary schools and housing complexes. It just recently had its second leak in a month, and all too often I hear at the doorstep how concerned people are that their government has handed over the complete control of environmental reviews to the federal government. So I'll be joining my two Burnaby members of parliament and the members of Burnaby, Deer Lake, and Edmonds in our advocacy for environment to keep Burnaby safe and green. Now, Burnaby is also based to many industrial and commercial firms, such as Electronic Arts, the William F. White Studio, Global TV Station, and many of our residents depend on these sectors to thrive, and I'll be urging the government to support these vital industries in my capacity as a deputy critic for small business, tourism, arts, and culture. Burnaby is home to some of the most renowned educational institutions like Simon Fraser University and British Columbia Institute of Technology, as well to a committed group of hardworking teachers, school trustees, and staff that are serving K-12 education. The effects of education underfunding over the past decade resulted in tuition that more than doubled, crowded our classrooms, and left old infrastructure that desperately needs restoration and updates. When my family's small ice cream store failed, my parents in their 50s found the courage to go back to school and earn their credentials in healthcare. But that was 15 years ago, and so much has changed for the worse today. My family is a testament to our fight to keep quality education accessible and affordable to all of us, even for the oldest, like my parents, the weakest, and often most desperately eager of us. And I'll be continuing that good fight in this legislature for our students, our families, and our educators. I spent my sweet 16 hospitalized with a very serious blood disorder, similar to leukemia. But it was in that period that my family experienced for the first hand what makes Canada such an amazing country. My treatment that nursed me back to full health cost upwards of $150,000, money that my parents didn't have. But we never had to show anything other than our Medicare card. So the life that you see me today would have expired many years ago had it not been for the public healthcare system that we have here. But again, this past decade, our once renowned and vital medical services have been stripped to its bones. While there seems to be money to go over budget on one project after another, money to increase the size of the government cabinet, and money to give incredible pay raises to the political staffers and insiders, times remain to be tough for the rest of us. and there's just no funding for many of the things that we rely on, such as healthcare. No funding for my city's Burnaby Hospital, that despite the efforts of overworked staff, is currently receiving a grade D rating. No funding for George Derby Center, that was on the verge of having to lay off more than 90 staff last winter. No funding to better support social services and programs like those at St. Leonard's, Charford House, and the Tire Women's Resource Center, that have to turn away every year hundreds of people who need and rely on them. These are the concerns of people not just in Burnaby-Lougheed, but throughout this province, and this government does need to realize that balancing budget is not and should not be about taking those from who are most vulnerable. Now, with that said, on a lighter note, one of the many wonderful things about Burnaby-Lougheed is the incredible diversity that we celebrate. With half of our residents with non-English mother tongue, South Asian, my friends in the Chinese community, Filipinos, the Koreans, the Bosnians, Italians, and the list goes on, with over 80 different languages that are spoken at home. Now, Michael Bublé and Michael J. Fox aren't the only notable figures in Burnaby. Over the past year, I've been inspired by our own local heroes. Kyla Barnes of SFU's Young New Democrats, Wanda Mulholland of Burnaby Homelessness Task Force, Dr. Abdul Afridi of El Salam Mosque, Dolores Mayer of Montecito Community, just to name a few. We also have several groups making real differences in people's lives, like our amazing Burnaby firefighters, North Road Business Improvement Association, Burnaby Family Life, Burnaby Empty Bowls, and Parent Participation Preschools. It truly does take a community, an army of people to come together to raise a politician, and I'm here today thanks to the hundreds of supporters like Lil Cameron, Gary Wong, L. Werner, Jason Hamarson, Angela Liu, Trevor Ritchie, Mark Hosek, Duke Tran, Jack Duncan, Paul Dyson, Jen Bancroft, Alex Singh, Craig Langston, Kelly Quinn, Rajinder Pender, Uniso, Sophia Bay, Anthony Su, Byungjin Na, Hannah Kang, and the list just goes on. Many, many people have come together to contribute generously and knocked on hundreds of doors, rain or shine, with me. So in my face, there are so many faces that you don't see. With me today are faces of my relatives in South Korea who started and finished their days in prayers for me. The faces of my students like Kel O'Neill, Nahida Hossein, Parsa Kiani, Tanya Sharon, Su Yu, who cheered me on through all the ups and downs on the campaign trail. There are faces of my supporters, both in business and in labor movement, who provided me with timely advices and inspired me with their vision. There are faces of my incredible campaign team led by the brilliant Sage Aaron, my dedicated constituency association led by the wise Glenn Porter, and our exceptional NDP staff and candidates like Avtar Baines, Gabriel Yu, and Matt Toner, along with our caring members alongside me today. There are faces of my distinguished colleagues at BCIT, Vancouver Community College, and West Coast College, like Victoria Benham, Frank Costco, Maria Wang, Dr. Mark Carey, Dr. Vesna Stajic, Greg Colombo, Joanne Larrick, and Dr. Bob Etkin. There are faces of my dearest friends from all backgrounds and walks of life, like Kathy Allen, Stanley Tsao, Cho Lim, Mike Sandu, and my dear Stephen Su and his family. Then there are faces of hundreds of our caring constituents who entertained me on my phone calls to them, invited me into their homes and offered me juice, gave me constructive feedback, confided in me their stories, and shared a laugh and tears with me. So I'm so honored that the voters in Burnaby-Lougheed chose to place their confidence and hope in me, for which I'm genuinely humbled and grateful for. And lastly, there are faces of my parents, Dongjae and Myeongbok Shin, and my brother Jimmy Shin, who in their own rights think the world of me and have been so supportive. This past year, I had the privilege of sitting down with and listening to my neighbors, my colleagues, my friends in and out of this community, and the struggles that our families fight today are very real. And for all these people, Mr. Speaker, I will be working to bring their voice and their issues forward. We have before us a budget that can hurt too many people before it will benefit a few. We live in a stunning country, and all of us on both sides of the floor celebrated that fact on our Nation's Day with fellow Canadians across this nation just this past Monday on Canada Day. I immigrated as a wide-eyed child from South Korea, holding my parents' hand, and the reasons were crystal clear to my parents why they chose BC for our family. So I look forward to working with all of you to make this a better home, a better province, not just for some of us, but for all of us. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.